Khalifa, this astounded his cousins. He said, normally the people choose us to rule over them, whereas I choose you to rule over me. You the people, if I ever commit a wrong, come to my area and correct me, because I'm not an infallible human being. One day some people started praising him, saying, Ammar bin Abdul Aziz receives ilham from Allah, he receives inspiration. Do you know what he replied? If I receive inspiration, then what about Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam? Notice that when your cousin is not religious, like Abdul Malik, like your father, whoever it is, you can't cut relations with them. That's not an excuse. That's number one. Then there's the second group of people. They say, we want to cut relations with our cousins who are following other schools in Islam. What do you mean? I follow the fiqh of Ja'far ibn Muhammad. He follows the fiqh of Abu Hanifa. I don't want to have relations with that cousin. I don't want to have relations. He follows La ilaha illallah, yes. He follows Muhammad and Rasulullah, yes. He has a difference with you on the fiqh, on the jurisprudential issue. So because he has a difference from you, because he follows one school of fiqh, you follow another, you don't want to have relations with him? On the contrary, when you have a cousin who follows another school in Islam, that's not a reason to perform qat' al-rahim. On the contrary, he's a fellow Muslim, his version of history, or his version of law may be different from yours. You were born into the school of Ja'far ibn Muhammad. He is born into the school of Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. He is born to that school, you were born in that school. You don't cut your relations. Rather, you should have that healthy, beautiful Islamic family atmosphere where you are able to discuss with your cousin. You are able to use his sources. He's able to use your sources. You are able to debate and reach conclusions where you agree to agree or you agree to disagree. For someone to come to me and say, my cousin is from another school in Islam, I want to cut my relations. No, you can't. The third group of people, what do they say? My cousin's from a different religion. I'm not having any relations with them. What do you mean? My cousin, for example, he has married, let's just say, into a Jewish background, and now, what is it? Now he is of those who follows their customs, for example. Or, to the level of Arabia, there was a young man who came to Rasulullah. He said, Ya Rasulullah, my mother is Jewish, but I am Muslim. Ya Rasulullah, should I maintain relations with her, or shall I cut my relations? You know what Rasulullah said to him? You keep your relations double as well as you used to before. Ya Rasulullah, but she's Jewish. She's of a different religion. I should cut my relations now that I become Muslim. No. You maintain your relations and you treat her better than you treated her before. He went back towards Rasulullah. When he went back towards Rasulullah after a while, Rasulullah said, what happened? He said, Ya Rasulullah, that day I went home, I suddenly started acting in a way I've never acted before. I gave so much warmth towards my mother. She said to me, why do you act like this? He said that I said to her, because my Prophet said, heaven lies underneath your feet. And that I should not cut relations with you because you're of a different religion. She said, then I will come towards the path of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Therefore, the only condition in qat' al-rahim is when that cousin openly is an enemy of Islam. Open animosity. Where they work to destroy the religion and to abuse Rasulullah and to abuse his family, to abuse his companions. That's the only time where there is a possibility of qat' al-rahim. To give you a small example in the Quran, Qarun and Musa. Qarun was Musa's first cousin, but the qat' al-rahim was because Qarun became an enemy of Allah. In the next part of the analysis, it's ironic that Ahl al-Bayt all their lives preach about the importance of bringing family relatives, yet at the end 6 of them are executed by whom? By their own first cousins. Banu Abbas, the Khulafa of Banu Abbas executed the Imams of Banu Abu Talib. And do you know why they executed them? The Saffah executed Imam al-Baqir. Mansur al-Dawaniqi, Imam al-Sadiq. Harun al-Rashid, Imam al-Kadhim. Do you know why they executed them? Why they poisoned them? Remember what I said about who their mothers were. Abu Talib's mother was Fatima bint Amr. Abbas's mother was a slave girl, Nuthayla bint Khabbab al-Khazraji. The Khulafa of Banu Abbas couldn't take it. How comes we are born from a lineage of a slave girl and they're born from a free woman? Imagine, something that small. How comes our mother is a slave girl and their mother was originally a free woman? That's it. We will take out the vengeance against them. And what a vengeance they took out. You'd think that the Khulafa of Banu Abbas would protect Al-Muhammad. They used Al-Muhammad's banner to come into Khilafah. Yet at the end, one poisons the other. And I tell you, when you look, if any of you want to examine this further, read about the way they treated Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. The way they treated Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, taking him from one prison to another. They took him to a prison from Basra to Qantara. All of these prisons under the worst of guards. Your own first cousin, you cut your relations with him. Your own flesh and blood. Both of you have the same lineage. Is it Islamic morality that the Khalifa of the Muslim state cuts his relations with his family members and enjoins it on others? They one day took Imam Musa ibn Ja'far to the prison in Basra. Fadl ibn Rabi' was in charge of that prison. Fadl ibn Rabi' couldn't believe the behavior of Imam al-Kadhim when he was in prison. Do you know why? Imam Musa al-Kadhim, what's the first thing he said when he went into prison? Ya Allah, all my life I have asked to worship you alone. Thanks for giving me the honor now. Would you say that if you were taken to prison? All my life I've asked to worship you alone. Thanks for the honor. Fadl ibn Rabi' told someone, come here, I want to show you something in this prison. He said, what is it? He said, can you see through the window? He said, yes, I can. He said, what do you see on the ground? He said, it looks like a piece of cloth. He said, it's not. He said, look at it properly. He said, it's a piece of cloth. I can see it. There's a piece of cloth, a piece of white cloth on the ground. He said, it's not. So what is it? He said, it's Musa ibn Ja'far in his prostration. He's been in that position the whole day. He'll prostrate in the day and prostrate in the night. We try to give him as little food as possible, but he takes that food, then he returns back to his prostration, thanking his Lord. When you have these types of examples, it's unbelievable. That the tragedy of Islamic history was that our system was built on first cousins, who instead of maintaining their relations with each other, even though they had different religious opinions, one ended up poisoning the other. Whereas in the school of Ahlul Bayt, the school of Ahlul Bayt has one particular principle. The principle of the Hadith al-Qudsi, which states, those who show mercy towards their relatives, I'll show mercy to them on the day of judgment. And you find within the Hadith of Ahlul Bayt, the beautiful dua makarim al-akhlaq of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, when he quite beautifully mentions within the dua, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, وأبدلني من بغضة أهل الشنان المحبة ومن خذلان الأقربين النصرة ومن عقوق ذوي الأرحام المبرة. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, Ya Allah, within this holy month, recite dua makarim al-akhlaq, Ya Allah, change the animosity of my relatives into love. Ya Allah, change the hatred of my relatives into mercy. Ya Allah, change the ways of my relatives into righteousness with me. The school of Ahlul Bayt sought to build an environment where even though your relatives may not respect you, you show respect back towards them. That's why I'll conclude with one story of Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam. Just before Imam passed away, he was on his deathbed. As he was passing away, what did the narration say to us? As he was passing away, the lady who was in his house was called Salima. Salima, who was sitting near him while he was passing away, he said to her, I want you to give this money towards Hassan ibn Ali, my cousin. She said, oh Imam, Hassan ibn Ali, the one who tried to stab you because you didn't fight al-Mansur al-Dawaniqi? He said, yes. She said, but oh Imam, how could you show respect for a cousin like that? He said, do you want me to be of those who is cursed by Allah 3 times in the Quran for not showing respect to his relatives? Rather, we should be those who show mercy towards our relatives in the way we want Allah to show mercy to us on the Day of Judgment. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us on the path of Muhammad and al-Muhammad. Allow us to be amongst those who honor their message and honor their sacrifices. Allow us to enjoy in our relations with our womb relatives. Allow us to build a community where we are able to interact in relations with both the religious and the non-religious members of our communities and bring them towards the message of Ahlul Bayt. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with Surah Al-Fatiha, but before it the loudest of salawat.